All right, my friends, I've got it right here in my hot little hands, the GTSB report. This is the final analysis on an incident that took place a while ago. Many of you are familiar with it. Nobody has covered this accident in the least. We're the first to cover it. You've got an exclusive here from the Galactic Transportation Safety Board. Let's take a look. We've got the ATC audio. Let's follow along, and I'll give you my analysis as we go.
Unidentified inbound craft, this is Dagobah ground control. Transmit ident, flight plan, and nature of visit.
This is Red 5, Incom T-65 X-Wing, inbound on a personal training mission. No filed flight plan.
Okay, so the first thing is we know that this is a T-65B. I'm not sure what the A model looked like, but at any rate, it's a wing fighter. The pilot, it sounds to me like he's not very confident. The ums and ahs, he's not very good on the radio. We're going to learn more about him as we look into this report at the end. Let's see what transpires, because ATC, I think, here tries to help this guy out a little bit, but he's not very receptive to instruction. Let's see.
Red 5, Squawk 3277 and ident.
Squawking 3277 now.
Copy that. Be advised there is no published approaches into Dagobah. Terrain is uncharted.
Okay, so as a pilot now, if I get that information from air traffic control that, first of all, there are no approaches into this area and it's completely uncharted territory, that's my first big heads up that I probably need to go to my alternate and not to try to attempt a landing here. Again, not everybody is receptive to those things. This is going to be a steep learning curve for this pilot, but we're going to look in because his background, according to this report, is sketchy.
Negative, Dagobah. I've got a strong signal through the force. I need to descend for a visual.
Okay, a strong signal through the force is not a thing I've ever been trained in. I don't understand exactly what he's talking about here. This flying by the seat of your pants is not a good idea. You're going to find out how bad an idea it is in just a few minutes.
Red 5, for the record, our last 3 approach logs included 1 tree impact, 1 engine ingestion from a winged serpent, and 1 disappearance we're calling voluntary force detachment. So, proceed at your own risk.
Okay, so air traffic control can't tell him not to go there. All they can do is give him a heads up, and they're trying as hard as they can. And look, when I listen to that whole diatribe about what happened to the last 2 or 3 people that tried to land in this place, I'm done. I'm out of there. It's time for a go around. Let's hit the toga button. Let's go to our alternate. I'm going to be talking to this air traffic controller to tell me where there's a safe place to land. None of that happens here.
Understood. Descending out at 4500.
Dagobah ATC, Slammer 2 here. You got that methane cloud over the northern sector? I lost an F-foil last time I threw through that.
Slammer 2, stay off this frequency unless you're assisting.
Just saying. Tell Red 5 not to trust any clearance. It's a trap.
Okay, so this other airplane is trying to help this guy out. He's saying, hey, look, it's a trap that you're flying into. I'm not sure that this Skywalker guy is going to listen to any of that. ATC tells him to stay off the frequency, but, you know, again, he knows most likely what's going to happen, and he's just trying to lend a hand.
Slammer 2 out.
Red 5, confirm fuel state and souls on board.
1 Sol, 1 Astromech, fuels marginal. R2 says we've got enough to hover or crash, whichever comes first.
Hover or crash, whichever comes first. And that's not a good outcome. I'm not sure who R2 is, and I'm not sure exactly what he's describing here, but we know that there's at least 1 pilot and 1, I guess, a mechanical device on board. I'm not sure why he counts that as a soul on board, but, you know, this guy seems kind of in a world of his own.
Copy. Recommend you initiate terrain scan and proceed no lower than 500 AGL.
Descending to 300. I've got eyes on the surface. It's all water and vines. Trying to find a solid landing zone.
You are not authorized to land unless hosting entity has submitted Form YODA. That's Yard Occupancy Disclosure Authorization.
Okay, I'm glad he explained that, because I wasn't sure what a YODA form was, but it's Yard Occupancy Disclosure Authorization. And these guys apparently need to have that to do this interplanetary stuff that they're doing. And again, it's no surprise he hasn't filled out the form.
It's standard for unregistered arrivals in Class F wetland zones.
Pretty sure the guy I'm meeting is the authority.
Then he should have filed the form. Otherwise, we can't guarantee compliance with planetary hosting protocols. I've already had to fill out an incident report for a guy who hallucinated his own reflection.
Stabilizers offline. R2, I'm fighting the controls.
I know.
Okay, so this thing goes from bad to worse here really fast, and it's not any surprise to me that it's going bad. Red 5 gets into a situation. Let's follow and see how bad it gets.
Red 5, say
Hold the
intentions.
filter, Dan. I can't see a thing. Just hang on. I'm gonna start the landing cycle.
Roger. Be advised, surface conditions include unstable ground, waist-deep water bog, and several predatory tree stumps. Red 5, do you read? Red 5, do you read?
Told you.
So that's exactly what you need at a time like that, is some guy coming on the radio and saying, "I told you so." But that's exactly what he needed to hear at that moment. He disregards his clear instruction given by ATC. He kind of goes into this thing kind of cocky and headstrong and ends up in a bog. Let's take a look now at the GTSB report, because it's got some real detailed information about what happened to this aircraft and why this thing went south so quickly. The executive summary in this report starts out this way. It says, on or about 03 ABY, which is a star date apparently, a Class F unregistered planetary approach was attempted by T-65 Bravo, and that's an X-wing starfighter. You saw that in the video here that we just showed you. And the registration was Red 5. That was their call sign. It's piloted by a guy named Luke Skywalker. I've never really heard of him, but you're going to learn a lot about him in this report, because apparently he's got no background, no training, no nothing. He commandeers this aircraft, and he's flying by the seat of his pants. So it's no surprise that he ended up in a bog, and I don't know what happened to him afterwards, but quite honestly, it's his own darn fault, and it's a shock that he didn't kill himself or anybody else in this situation. There is a little bit of background on him as a pilot, and it's not flattering at all. It says no records exist confirming his completion of any standard curriculum from a flight academy, technical institute, or rebel aligned training program. He's got no training whatsoever. Furthermore, he has not passed any knowledge tests, skill evaluations, or psychological screenings typically required of even civilian speed operators, much less military grade fighter pilots. This guy's got no business being in the seat of a starfighter, much less anything else that has an engine strapped to it that flies. He hasn't done any training whatsoever. And again, who knows how he got into the seat, but it's no surprise that he crashed. Now, if you're interested in this report, it's a full 43-page report. It's linked in the end screen below. You ought to read it from beginning to end. It's absolutely a fascinating report about the background of the pilot and all of the things that went into it by the GTSB. Here's a psychological profile of Luke Skywalker. Skywalker displays a flight mindset, it says here, consistent with Type 6 rogue pilot syndrome. I have no idea what that is. A behavioral pattern characterized by, they're going to describe what it is. So this is an education for me. Overconfidence in the absence of formal training, disregard for authority and protocol norms. That sounds like my kids, actually. Number 3 on the list, tendency to monologue mid-maneuver. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Reliance on instinct or gut feelings in lieu of instrumentation, and compulsive targeting computer deactivation. Wow, that's the whole really trifecta of psychological issues that pilots shouldn't have. Let me talk here for a minute about monologuing mid-maneuver. Now, I was an instructor pilot for many years, and one of the worst things you would get out of a new student pilot was this propensity to want to monologue. If you flew with a co-pilot that, for instance, had delusions of grandeur and they wanted to have, let's say, world domination, they would go into these long-winded monologues about how they were going to take over the world, and the bad guy or the good guy's demise was inevitable. Those are kind of some catchphrases that they would use. If you were to hear that as an instructor, you'd call a timeout and say, "My aircraft, take it back from them." The worst guy I ever had that I flew with, and he was a real head case. he would go into that muhaha laugh that the bad guys go into in movies, you know, muhaha, and he'd sit there and he'd rub his hands like this. He actually took his hands off the controls while he was flying the airplane to do the muhaha world domination hand rub. I would always take the airplane from him and say, look, dude, you got to keep flying the airplane, all right? You can't take your hands off the controls to muhaha. If you're going to muhaha, do it with your hands on the controls. So monologuing is a huge deal. I'm not surprised that this Skywalker guy has got those same delusions of grandeur. The end of this is preliminary findings from GTSB. It says, while the galaxy may yet see great things from Luke Skywalker, I doubt that very seriously. It's the firm opinion of this board that unless his next mission includes a syllabus and a certified instructor, he should be restricted to ground transportation, preferably something without a throttle. I couldn't agree more. That's a good finding from them. There's a lot more here. Let me just skip to the end. Their final conclusion on all of this is this, and it is scathing. It says this: this incident serves as a wake-up call not only for the Rebel Alliance, but for all institutions that allow personality to eclipse proficiency. Wow, that's a great line. Personality that eclipses proficiency. Luke Skywalker survived because the terrain was soft, the droid was sharp, oof, that hurts, and the Force, for once, was forgiving. But safety cannot rely on destiny. That is well said. A scathing report aimed almost directly at Luke Skywalker and his lack of proficiency. He didn't kill himself and the others only because, well, quite honestly, he just got lucky. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed us going over the GTSB report that goes with this Dagobah landing. I don't think anybody else has done it. It's been an exclusive here. If you've got any questions or comments, we'd love to see them after this video. Well, now you know. I'm Captain Steeeve. May the Force be with you.